Good evening. My name is Mike Wickers. I am the mayor of our beautiful city of Cottonwood Heights. Today is Tuesday, December 19th, and this is the Cottonwood Heights City Council business meeting. We usually start with a Pledge of Allegiance, and we have a special guest who's going to lead us. I'm actually going to allow our council member, Scott Bracken, to introduce our guest who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
About 9 years ago, my wife and I were given a gift, and I now have a junior, but Joseph Scott Bracken Jr. will be leading us in the pledge. So if you'll come up, Joe, and have us all stand, we'll recite the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, liberty and justice for all.
That might be a first.
Thank you, Joey, if I can call you that. Thank you, Scott. So this is a kind of a special evening for us as a city. We are feel good and bad about what's going to transpire, but we're here to recognize Councilmember Scott Bracken for his service to the city of Cottonwood Heights. I'd like to have our Assistant Police Chief, our Fire Chief Riley Pilgrim come up first, and he has a presentation from UFA for Scott.
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks for fitting me in. We just wanted to recognize and share our appreciation for all the service that Scott's provided to not only Cottonwood Heights and the citizens, but to Unified Fire Authority and being a supporter of our agency. And so we just have a coin from Chief Burchett. He couldn't be here for this meeting, but he wanted me to pass this along. So we have a Chief's coin, which is a pretty rare recognition we usually give to people in our organization who go above and beyond or have done something that kind of merits the Chief's recognition. And Scott's years of service, as well as the support given to our organization and public safety in general. I think it's safe to say we just wanted to express our appreciation to you and all you've done, and we wish you well in your future endeavors. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief, and thanks, Scott. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to allow the council, if they have anything that they'd like to say, before we move on to a couple other awards. So, Councilmember Holton.
Yeah, I think I've served the least amount of time with Councilman Bracken than my colleagues, but I just want to say, I think from the moment that I was appointed to the council, Scott reached out and we took both of our families to dinner and spent time getting to know each other, and he took me under his wing from the get-go, and I just appreciate it wholeheartedly. And I hope, and I feel like I know, but also hope that we'll still see a lot of you and you'll still be incredibly engaged with the city. We people in there were calling you the founding father, so I think we still learn about our other founding fathers. So I think we'll still be seeing you and talking about you.
Councilmember Burrell.
I too would like to acknowledge Council Member Scott Bracken. His level of dedication is now more fully understood by me after 2 years in service compared to his 17 years. And it's, he mentioned tonight, 734 council meetings during his service to our community. And that doesn't count the many and just innumerable hours that I know that he has spent with the Youth City Council and as a liaison to many outside and internal agencies and committees of Cottonwood Heights. And so I want to really recognize him and his contribution and thank him from the bottom of my heart. We haven't always seen things the same way. And I'm a believer that it takes different perspectives, training, education to get the best practices for our city. And I also, like Councilmember Holton, hope that Scott Bracken will continue to give us his advice and his institutional knowledge. Thank you.
Councilmember Newell.
Thank you, Scott, for your service. It's been a pleasure to be able to learn from you, especially about some of the history of the city as we move forward. I've had to become a sponge around you. One of the great opportunities to learn was when we took our little secret trip to the Pentagon and got a chance to walk around for a couple hours where we weren't supposed to be, and got to learn some things about you that I didn't know that we couldn't share. We didn't have the time to share here in our council meetings, but it's been a great pleasure. The knowledge you have, I'm sure you'll continue to share with us, and we look forward to that. But I just appreciate you so much for your service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Newell, and our city manager, Tim Tingy.
I also want to just express appreciation for Councilmember Bracken and for all of his great energy and work for the city. I've always been amazed at Councilmember Bracken at how effective he's been at analyzing issues and making decisions based on that analysis, and also recognizing all of the different sides and points of view before he makes a decision. And it's really commendable for that. He thinks so much about the community and what the greater good is. And that's something I've always really admired about him. I also, on a personal level, just am grateful for the times that we've been able to sit down and talk, discuss tough issues, and hear each other out. And I appreciate that working relationship. You've made my work as a city manager much better. And I also want to thank Ann and Joey, especially for the great support and all that you've done for the community as well. It's been so great to have you involved in so many different things, and your service is very important as well. So thank you so much, Councilmember Bracken.
Thank you, Tim. So 2 years ago, when myself and those to my right took office, none of us had actually had city council experience. I was a brand new mayor, and they were brand new city council members. We had Doug Peterson, who had finished 2 years on the city council, and then we had Scott Bracken, who was here from the beginning. And one of the reasons that I felt comfortable being elected is that we had somebody that we could rely on, somebody with institutional knowledge of basically every act that the city has ever taken. And whether Scott's memory was perfect every time might not have been the case, but we have relied on him as a council, and I just can't even express enough how grateful we are. Scott is not just invested in the city, he loves this city, and I know that. And just so you know, Scott, we are invested in you, and could not be happier for you personally that for what you've done, and then that you'll be able to embark on a new adventure. And so we will hopefully be able to hear about it and be able to support you. So having said that, I'm happy to turn some time over to you. We've got a couple of things to present, but tell me what you'd like to do.
No, I appreciate the comments. It has been, it was never my intention to be in office for 19 years, let alone a ridiculously huge amount of meetings. I did that math a couple of months ago. I'm just curious, but life happens. When I figured that I was going to be coming to where I should move on to something else, I enrolled at the MPA program at the University of Utah, got my master's degree, but life had other plans. We were handed a infant just at the very, very, very end of that program, and the decision was made that I could take care of him and continue with my city council, and that gave me the flexibility to do that while my very capable and smart and supportive wife, continued to, with her profession and her employment. So, at that point, it was just one more term to be elected, but, I leave with, on a good note. I think the city is in good hands. And I look forward to seeing what comes up. And anyone who says, we hope that we still see you, if you really just need to see me, just look out the window. It's not hard. If I'm in the kitchen, you'll see me.
Scott? We have two items that I want to show you that we're going to present to Scott. This is, says presented to Council Member Scott Bracken in appreciation of your outstanding leadership and dedication for serving Cottonwood Heights as City Council Member 2005 to 2023. At the bottom is a quote from Scott that says, "I am grateful for the role my neighbors have allowed me to play in formalizing the city of Cottonwood Heights and in maintaining it as a great place to live." So. We also understand the role that Ann has played in this city. And so we wanted to get something to recognize Ann for all of her support of Scott and for the role that you played in helping the city to incorporate and all that you've done to support and the council and the city. So come on up, Ann, if you don't mind, and we'll take some pictures. So.
But I did forget to mention that, Ann was on the, community council when we were getting the city ready to be formed. Perfect.
Okay, one of the important assignments that Scott has undertaken over the, what, 11 years, is that right, Scott?
Yes. No,
Uh,
no, he's talking about is, 2012.
Scott has played a role, being on the board of the Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District. So he's served 2 terms as chair. And we're excited that Pam Roberts, who's the CEO and general manager of this organization, is here, and she would like to also honor Scott. So come on up, Pam.
Thank you so much. It's always an honor to be here, a privilege. I don't need the step stool, so I'm just going to move that out of the way. But Scott, it's been quite the journey. Just a little history about the district. It was created in 1977, so we've been around for a long time. Obviously, I haven't been the head of the organization for that long, but in the first step in allowing the cities a seat at the table was taken in 2009 when the county council created the administrative control board. And then over time, more cities incorporated, and with the cities having more say, they wanted to have total control of the organization and personnel. And Scott, you came on the board in 2012, and you have served 12 years. And as the mayor said, two times our board chair. And I know 2012 was the time that we were getting ready to launch and totally separate from Salt Lake County. And you as chair, I was the executive. We were on the phone for hours at a time talking about how are we going to make this happen, negotiating with Salt Lake County. I was kind of the go-between, and I have to tell you, it was an experience of a lifetime. It was also one of the most stressful times of my life. And I want to say thank you because your leadership and your strategic and critical thinking was instrumental in launching us. And I just really respect you. I will miss your institutional knowledge. There's been many a time when we have new board members coming in, and I look to Scott to say, okay, so you remember this, right, Scott? We've kind of gone down this road, and he will make sure that the meetings are efficient and we cover things and not have to repeat, lost, rinse, repeat. So I really am going to miss you. But 12 years, and the board did adopt a resolution while you were out to sea. We missed you on November 13th. There's a
I
lot
wish
of.
I would say I thought a whole bunch about while you was out on the cruise, but it only passingly came up a couple times.
But I do want to present you with the resolution and this Crystal Award, and on behalf of the district, the board, and our staff, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Pam. The next item on our agenda is a citizen comment period. Looking at the cards that we have, I'm not going to go through the disclaimer that I usually go through. We'll move to that portion now, and I'll invite our first speaker up, Mike Hansen.
Good evening, council, mayor. Many years ago, when the city first incorporated, my wife was actually one of the first hires. And she sat at the front desk and answered the phone and heard all the complaints and all the praises. And it's been really interesting to watch. I've turned into the observer over the years. And one of the things I've observed mostly was just the ability that Scott has had and the impact that he's had on this city. And that is that he's never given an opportunity to analyze something to a point to where you can really trust what he has to say. Critical thinking skills are just pretty amazing when you watch it as just a citizen. So we've been fortunate and blessed to have him on the council for as long as we have. And I just wanted to publicly stand up and give him my sincere thanks for running for re-election and winning and doing the things that you've done for our city. I've had the opportunity to work with you as a volunteer on Butlerville Days Committee. You've always been just great and supportive of the citizens and the things that are there. And just want to say thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike. The next person we have is Leslie Kovach.
Good evening.
Hi.
And congratulations, Scott Bracken. Tonight, I would like to talk about a couple of officers on the Cottonwood Heights Police Force that assisted me through an incident that occurred on my property. That'd be Officer Wendell and Officer Bess. Officer Wendell was the first on the scene, the first to assist me in getting the proper officers to respond and make sure that we had the correct information to get through a situation and get it resolved. Officer Wendell had arrived on the scene to investigate a code enforcement request, and which was not related to my incident. Officer Wendell had made sure that the officers and we had the police on the way quickly and understood what was going on for me and what the next steps would be. When Officer Lance Bess arrived on the scene, he worked to make sure that he understood exactly what had happened, asking me for information from our cameras, making sure he was clear on what had happened and when. He was also very clear and calm in handling the inevitable emotions that occur as an investigation evolves. He continued to ask and seek clarification as needed. He was able to calm some of the emotions and understand the nuances in a neighborhood and how to make the incident and how an incident may affect long-term relationships within the neighborhood. I would like to commend both officers for their professionalism and their understanding and resolving incidences as they occur. Thank you, Chief Russo.
Thank you, Leslie. I really appreciative that you would come and share that with us. So I'm grateful. Thank you. Randy Whitehead.
Scott, as one of the citizens in this community, I look at this community, I look how beautiful it is. I'm impressed. What a wonderful place Cottonwood Heights is. And I want you to know how grateful I am from my heart for all the time you've spent to help make it what it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Shane Topham. Did I pronounce that correctly, Shane?
I know that this is a little unusual for me to exit up there where my function is to give dispassionate legal advice. But I wanted to come down here and just stand before you as a regular guy and give tribute to a friend of mine. In probably the second week of November of 2004, after a selection process, I was asked to help the city officers elect of the proposed city of Cottonwood Heights form the city. And so that began my in-depth experiences and relationship with Scott Bracken. It's been mentioned that Scott computed that there have been, I don't know, 735, 750, I've seen various numbers, meetings that he's attended. I've been in every one of those essentially, and it's and although that's a lot of meetings, when you stop to consider that probably 2/3 of those meetings, the ones at the beginning of the city, maybe the first 10 or 12 years of its existence, always went at least 6 hours, so sometimes up to 8 hours every week. Why you do that math, and it turns out that I've spent 4,000 to 5,000, I don't know how many thousand hours with Scott Bracken. During that time, I've had plenty of opportunity to watch Scott in action. And one of the problems with going last at something like this is that most or all of the things have already been said. I don't want to diminish what has been said or embellish on them, but I can say that all the nice things that have been said about Scott, from my perspective, are absolutely accurate. I have watched him bring his very strong intellect and very strong recall and very strong sense of morals and his personal courage to the front many times to try to advance something that he felt was in the very best interest of the city and its residents. So for that, Scott, I commend you. I appreciate our friendship that we've developed over these many years, and like other people have said here, I hope you won't be a stranger. Thanks.
Thanks, Shane. I'm glad you didn't go over time. I was worried I was going to have to cut you off. And last, we have Galen Benyon.
I also would like to thank Scott Bracken for the many years that he has served our city. And the first interaction I had as an elected official was with Scott and the Youth Council, and them inviting me to interact with them and talk about the legislature. And I have seen him go beyond the call. He's taken the Youth Council outside of our district to meet with other youth. And we had a meeting at the library up in the Avenues. He has, gone beyond what is required. And I think he's done that in so many aspects. So I would just like to thank Scott. And I know that our city is in good hands because of the legacy that he has created and the years of service he has given. So thank you, Councilman Bracken. And secondly, I would just like to thank our city for the new lights that we're seeing in my neighborhood that show the speed that we're driving. I think this is a very proactive step to help us as citizens, and I know all of us need that reminder as we leave the freeways driving 70 miles an hour and then we enter our neighborhoods. It's really important to remember what 25 miles an hour really feels like. And so I thank the council. I know we had a citizen reach out asking for a light on 6710 South, and it's there both directions. We have a hill there that I think people rev up to go up and then like go fast down. And I think this is a wonderful way to impact safety in our community. So I thank the council and our police force for these proactive measures that you're taking. Thank you.
Thanks, Gillian. I know, Tim, we had somebody submit a record online or through email, right?
Yes, and just for the record, I forwarded that to the city council. The name of the person was Patricia Gurel, and she expressed concerns about the Tabachi annexation. So that's part of the record. It's been forwarded to the council for your consideration.
Right, thank you. Okay, not seeing any other cards, I'll close the citizen comment period. And the last item, and that is our last item. So at that point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will take the personal privilege of suggesting that we adjourn for the year.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second, and before I say all in favor, I'm going to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from the city of Cottonwood Heights. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.